There is a profound truth hidden deep within the fabric of human experience, a truth that echoes through the ages and whispers in the quiet chambers of the heart. Evil, no matter how cunningly disguised, cannot remain concealed forever. It is a truth as old as time itself, yet one that continually surprises us, because evil's most dangerous form is not the one we recognize easily. It wears the familiar face. It speaks the language of love, loyalty, and kinship. It dwells not in the shadows of distant lands, but often within the very places we call home, nestled among those we trust the most. How curious and cruel it is that the serpent should choose the garden not as an enemy from without, but as a deceiver from within. We believe in the goodness of family, the sanctity of blood ties, and the unspoken bond that should protect us. Yet evil, in its infinite patience and subtlety, cloaks itself in these very bonds. It is a serpent hidden beneath the rose petals of affection and loyalty, striking not from afar but from the nearest The betrayal that wounds most deeply is not the one by a stranger, but the one cloaked in familiar voices and faces. But here lies the paradox. Though evil hides, it cannot hide forever. The nature of darkness is that it flees before light. No matter how skillfully the serpent slinks in the shadows, the inevitable moment comes when the light of truth penetrates even the densest veil of deceit. It is not by human cunning or mere chance that this light breaks through, but by a higher justice, a divine unveiling that is both terrifying and merciful. The unmasking of evil is inevitable, because the universe itself tends toward revelation. The divine order does not suffer falsehood to endure unchecked, nor deceit to prosper eternally. There is a moral balance woven into the very soul of creation, and the day will come when all things hidden will be laid bare. The serpent that has lived unseen will be exposed in full view, its venom laid open for all to witness. This exposure, painful though it is, serves a necessary purpose. It is not to crush the chosen or to break their spirit, but to awaken them from the comfortable slumber of ignorance. When the serpent is revealed, the chosen one is called not to despair, but to vigilance, not to bitterness, but to clarity. The piercing of the veil offers a cruel gift, the truth. And truth, as bitter as it may taste, is the only sure foundation upon which to rebuild. There is a peculiar grace in the exposure of the serpent, because it frees the soul from blindness. It strips away the illusion that comfort and familiarity guarantee safety. It forces the heart to reckon with reality rather than fantasy, to see the world in stark honesty rather than through rose-colored lenses. This clarity is painful, yes. It comes at the cost of shattered illusions and broken trust. But it is a purification that leads to greater wisdom and strength. Moreover, this divine unmasking is not random or unjust. It happens precisely when the chosen are ready to bear it, when their spirits have been tempered enough to face the harsh light of truth without despairing. It is as though a great hand guides the timing of revelation, ensuring that when the serpent is exposed, the chosen one is equipped to confront it, to learn from it, and to grow beyond it. And so, while the revelation of evil in one's own family or close circle may feel like the darkest of nights, it is also the dawn of a new understanding. It is the beginning of a journey toward freedom. Freedom from deception, freedom from naive trust, and ultimately, freedom to act with wisdom and courage. The unmasking of the serpent is inevitable, yes, but it is not the end. It is the call to wakefulness, the summons to a deeper vigilance, and the first step on the path toward healing and renewal. To the chosen one who receives this painful truth, take heart. You have been given the sight to see what others cannot, and with this sight comes the power to shape a future no longer enslaved by hidden serpents. Would you like me to expand another keynote or turn this into a full-length speech? Certainly. Here is an expanded version of the first two keynotes, combined into about 600 words, flowing naturally without headings and maintaining that reflective, profound tone. There is a profound and unsettling reality in life. The most dangerous evils often wear the face of those we love. Evil, in its cunning and patient nature, seldom announces itself with thunder and flame. Instead, it lurks quietly beneath familiar smiles and trusted hands, hiding in the places we feel safest, within our own families. It is a bitter truth that those closest to us, bound by blood and years of shared history, can sometimes become the very serpents that seek to wound us. Yet this is not a cause for despair, but a summons to vigilance, for the nature of darkness is such that it cannot remain hidden forever. The serpent's greatest weapon is its ability to disguise itself in the garb of loyalty and affection. It whispers deceit under the guise of love, masking betrayal with words of kindness. We are inclined to believe in the sanctity of family, the unspoken bond that is supposed to protect us from harm. But evil is a patient deceiver, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself beneath the petals of familiarity. The familiar is the most dangerous cloak because it blinds us to warning signs, dulls our suspicions, and softens our defenses. Yet, as inevitable as night follows day, the truth eventually pierces through the veil of darkness. The serpent, no matter how cleverly hidden, will be exposed. This unmasking is not the result of human effort alone, nor a mere coincidence. It is the work of a higher justice, a divine light that refuses to be dimmed by shadow. The universe holds a moral balance, and the scales will tilt toward truth. What has been hidden in secret chambers will be brought into the open, not to shame or destroy unnecessarily, but to awaken and to heal. When the serpent in your own family is revealed, it is as though the ground beneath your feet shifts. The betrayal cuts deep because it is personal, intimate, but in this painful moment lies a crucial gift, the gift of clear sight. The exposure frees you from the chains of illusion, allowing you to see not only the serpent, but also the path forward. It is a call to awaken from the comfortable slumber of ignorance, to replace blind trust with discernment. The revelation demands courage, for it challenges the very foundation of what you believe to be safe and true. Yet it is through this suffering that the soul is purified and strengthened. The shattering of illusion is not destruction, but transformation. It forces the heart to reckon with reality in all its complexity, preparing you to navigate life with wisdom rather than naive hope. This divine unmasking is never arbitrary. It comes at the appointed time, when you are ready to bear the burden of truth, when your spirit has been tempered enough not to break under its weight. There is a providence in timing, a hand guiding the moment of revelation so that it leads not to despair, but to growth. So while the exposure of a serpent within your family feels like a dark and lonely night, it also marks the dawn of new understanding. It is an invitation to reclaim your strength, to guard your heart wisely, and to build a foundation of truth. With this gift of sight comes the power to break free from deception and to walk a path of courage and hope. Remember, the unmasking of evil is inevitable, but it is also the beginning of your calling. It beckons you to live with eyes wide open, to cherish truth above comfort, and to choose justice and mercy over bitterness. Though the serpent's bite may leave a scar, it also marks the moment you stepped into the light, a chosen one, awakened, and empowered to face what lies ahead. Would you like me to continue with the other keynotes, expanded simply? Absolutely. Here's an expanded version of the first three keynotes combined into about 600 words, flowing seamlessly and maintaining that thoughtful, elevated tone. There is a solemn truth woven into the human experience. The most insidious evils often wear the familiar face. Evil does not always roar like a beast from the wilderness. More often it slinks quietly beneath the veil of love, loyalty, and kinship. It hides within the very circles we trust most, in our families, those whom we believe would never betray us. This hidden serpent, camouflaged by the bonds of blood and years of shared life, wounds the deepest because it strikes where we feel safest. Yet, though the pain is sharp and the betrayal profound, this unmasking is not a curse without purpose, but a summons to clarity and courage. Evil's greatest deception lies in its ability to wear the cloak of the familiar. It masquerades as affection, speaks in the language of loyalty, and binds itself to us through shared history. We tend to believe that family, by its very nature, is a refuge immune to such treachery. But this belief can be a perilous blindness. The harder it is to sense its presence. It thrives in the comfort of trust, feeding off the assumption that evil must come from the outside, yet it is often the serpent within that causes the greatest harm. Nevertheless, no darkness can withstand the inevitable dawn. Though the serpent may hide for a season, it cannot remain concealed forever. The universe is not indifferent to deceit, and divine justice does not allow evil to flourish unchecked. There is a moral order woven into the fabric of existence that ensures hidden sins will one day be revealed. The serpent, exposed by the light of truth, writhes in shame and loses its power. This unveiling is not an accident or mere chance. It is a providential act designed to awaken the chosen one to realities long obscured. When the serpent is exposed in your own family, it is a moment of profound upheaval. The pain is not only in the betrayal, but in the collapse of trust, the shattering of assumed safety. Yet, within this suffering lies a strange mercy, the gift of clarity. The harsh light of revelation frees the soul from the chains of illusion. It forces a reckoning with truth, no matter how bitter, and offers the chance to rebuild on firmer ground. What was once hidden in shadows is now laid bare, and in that exposure lies the beginning of healing. Suffering is often the crucible in which wisdom is forged. The trials that tear us apart also teach us to see beyond the surface. It is through pain that the heart is purified and the eyes are opened. The revelation of the serpent is a necessary cleansing, a breaking down of naive hope so that a stronger, more discerning faith may arise. This clarity is no easy gift. It demands courage to face the reality of betrayal without succumbing to despair or bitterness. Moreover, the timing of this revelation is not random. It comes when the chosen one is ready, when their spirit has been tempered enough to endure the light without breaking. Providence carefully orchestrates these moments, ensuring that the unveiling serves a higher purpose. It calls forth the strength to confront evil and the wisdom to move beyond it. The exposure of the serpent is thus not merely a moment of loss, but a step toward redemption and renewal. So while the discovery of the serpent in your own family feels like a night without end, it also heralds a dawn of new understanding. It awakens the chosen one to a deeper vigilance, a clearer vision, and a more profound sense of justice tempered by mercy. It is a call to live with eyes wide open, to cherish truth above comfort, and to walk courageously into the future, no longer blinded by deception, but strengthened by revelation. If you want, I can continue with the last two keynotes, expanded as well. Certainly. Here's an expanded version of the first 4 keynotes, combined into around 600 words, flowing naturally with the same reflective and deep tone you prefer. There is a painful yet necessary truth we must face. Evil often wears the most familiar faces. It does not always come as a storm from outside, but often as a whisper within the walls of family. The serpent's most cunning disguise is to hide among those we trust most deeply, in those bound to us by blood, shared memories, and affection. This hidden betrayal stings the soul because it strikes not from a stranger's hand, but from the closest branches of our own tree. Yet, as devastating as this revelation can be, it is not a defeat, but a call to wakefulness. The greatest danger of evil is its ability to mask itself behind loyalty and love. We tend to believe that family is a sanctuary, a place where betrayal is impossible or unthinkable. This belief is a double-edged sword. It nurtures trust, but can also leave us vulnerable to deception. The serpent in disguise slithers in silence, protected by the familiar voice, the shared history, the warm smile. It is this very closeness that dulls our senses and allows darkness to fester unseen. But the very nature of darkness is to flee before the light. No shadow, no matter how thick, can endure forever when the dawn breaks. The exposure of hidden evil is inevitable. This is not random happenstance, but the unfolding of a divine justice woven into the fabric of existence. The universe holds a moral order, and truth demands to be known. When the serpent is revealed, it is a sign that the scales are tipping, that hidden deceit can no longer hold sway in the heart of those chosen to see. The unveiling of evil, though painful, carries with it a strange grace. It strips away the comforting illusions that once blinded us, forcing us to confront reality with unflinching eyes. This clarity, born of suffering, is a gift disguised in hardship. It frees the soul from naive trust and prepares it for a deeper, more resilient form of wisdom. The exposure is a kind of purification, breaking down false hopes so that a stronger faith can be built on the bedrock of truth. Suffering in this light is not mere misfortune, but a crucible of transformation. It demands that we see beyond the surface and recognize the serpent for what it truly is. It is the fire that burns away the dross of illusion and refines the spirit. Yet this process is never cruelly timed. The moment the serpent is exposed is the moment when the chosen one is ready to bear it. Providence governs the timing, ensuring that revelation leads not to despair but to growth, not to bitterness but to courage. The exposure of the serpent in one's own family is more than a moment of personal heartbreak. It is a turning point in a larger spiritual journey. It is a call to vigilance, to guard the heart with renewed wisdom. It is an invitation to embody justice with mercy, to resist the temptation of hatred and revenge. For the goal is not to become what we despise, but to rise above, to hold the line between light and darkness with courage and compassion. Though the night may seem long and the wound deep, the unveiling of evil is also a dawn. It awakens the chosen one to a clearer vision of reality, a deeper understanding of human complexity, and a firmer grasp of divine justice. It is the beginning of a journey from deception into truth, from weakness into strength, from brokenness into renewal. In this revelation lies not only pain, but also profound hope. If you'd like, I can now expand the final keynote or help you shape this into a full speech. Certainly. Here's an expanded version, weaving together all 5 keynotes into approximately 600 words, with a flowing, reflective style that captures the depth and nuance you want. There is a solemn truth that we must face with open eyes and steady hearts. Evil often hides in the most unexpected places. It does not always come from distant enemies or strangers, but frequently slinks within the very walls we call home, among those whose faces we know and whose voices we trust. The serpent's most dangerous deception is to wear the familiar cloak of family, love, and loyalty, an invisible threat wrapped in the guise of those closest to us. This betrayal wounds deeply because it pierces the sanctuary we believe to be unbreakable. Yet, though the pain is sharp and the revelation bitter, this exposure is not without purpose. It is a divine unveiling that calls us to awaken and choose a path forward. A serpent's cunning is in its ability to disguise itself behind the bonds that ought to protect us. It speaks the language of affection and loyalty, weaving its lies into the fabric of shared history and trust. We are naturally inclined to believe that those who share our blood would never deceive us. This belief is sacred, but also a vulnerability, for evil flourishes where suspicion is silenced by love. The familiar is the serpent's safest hiding place, for it dulls our senses and shields deception from scrutiny. Yet no darkness is so impenetrable that the light cannot find its way in. Inevitable as dawn, the light of truth pierces the shadows that conceal the serpent. This revelation is not a mere coincidence or human accident, but a working of divine justice. The universe holds a moral order, and truth is a force that refuses to be silenced. When the serpent is finally unmasked, it is a sign that the scales of justice are balancing, that the hidden deceit which once held power can no longer endure in the hearts of those chosen to see. This moment of exposure, painful as it may be, carries a hidden grace. It frees the soul from the chains of illusion and calls for a reckoning with reality. Suffering is often the crucible in which clarity is forged. The unveiling of the serpent strips away comforting illusions, forcing us to face the world in stark honesty. This clarity, though born of pain, is a precious gift. It purifies the heart and prepares it for a stronger, more resilient faith. The breaking of trust is not the end, but the necessary dismantling of false hope, allowing for a foundation built on truth rather than deception. This transformation demands courage, the courage to see clearly without despair, to embrace truth even when it wounds. Yet the timing of this revelation is no accident. It comes when the chosen one is ready to bear it, when their spirit has been tempered enough to endure the harsh light without breaking. Providence governs the unveiling, ensuring that it leads not to ruin, but to growth. The exposure of the serpent is an invitation to greater vigilance, wisdom, and strength. It is a call to guard one's heart, not with bitterness or hatred, but with justice seasoned by mercy. The chosen one must resist the temptation to mirror the serpent's deceit, and instead hold fast to the light. This moment, painful though it is, marks the beginning of a new chapter, a dawn after a long night. It awakens the chosen one to a deeper understanding of human complexity and divine justice. The path forward is one of renewal, courage, and hope. Though the serpent's bite leaves a scar, it also marks the moment you were given the sight to see beyond deception, to walk a road of truth with clear eyes and steadfast heart. In this unveiling lies the profound opportunity to reclaim your strength, to choose redemption over revenge, and to stand as a guardian of light amid shadows.